The Galactic Council chamber was alive with tension. Bright, pulsating lights filled the vast circular room, reflecting off the metallic walls in 1,000 glimmers. Alien delegates from dozens of star systems murmured anxiously, their voices blending into a strange, almost musical hum. Each representative had come for one reason: to understand the sudden disappearance of the humans. Humans had once been active members of the Interstellar Alliance, trading technology, sharing knowledge, and even acting as peacekeepers during conflicts. Their ships had been common in every major sector, their voices familiar in council meetings. But now, they were gone. The sudden silence was unsettling, and fear had begun to spread like wildfire. Councillor Valen of Zelaria, a tall, thin figure with translucent skin that shimmered with every emotion, stood at the center of the chamber. She adjusted the small communication crystal at her chest and looked around at the other delegates. "The humans have not answered our messages for over 2 standard cycles," she said. Her voice was calm, but each word carried weight. "Their trade routes are empty. Their colonies are dark. Their ships have disappeared. This is not normal. Something is happening and we must understand it before it is too late." A delegate from the Zorvax system, a massive creature covered in armored scales, bellowed. "Normal. They have disappeared without warning. No one knows where they went. Are they hiding, preparing for war, or have they perished?" His question hung in the air, heavy and menacing. Murmurs rose among the council. Many species had feared humans for years, not because they were cruel, but because they were unpredictable. Humans had a stubborn spirit, a curious mind, and a tendency to act boldly in situations where others hesitated. Some called them reckless, others called them brilliant. Now no one knew what they were. Valen raised a hand and the room fell silent. "We cannot assume the worst without evidence. That is why I am requesting permission to travel to the human colonies to investigate directly." There was a pause. Then slowly, a chorus of affirmatives and cautious nods filled the room. The council allowed it. Valen was to lead a small delegation to the last known human colonies. The journey to the human colonies was long. Valen's vessel, the Starweaver, sliced through the darkness of space at speeds that made most other species dizzy. She was accompanied by a team of trusted experts: a linguist who specialized in human communication, a historian who had studied human culture for decades, and a technology analyst familiar with the weapons and devices humans had developed. As they approached the Sol system, something strange became clear. Planets were visible, alive, and seemingly normal. Earth, with its blue oceans and green lands, looked peaceful from the viewports. Mars still bore the marks of its colonization, with domed cities glittering in the sunlight. Even the outer colonies, previously bustling with human activity, appeared quiet and untouched. "Are you certain they are gone?" asked Thalric, the historian, his voice tight with unease. His eyes scanned the screens, which showed no human ships leaving or arriving at any colony. "They are silent," Valen replied, "but that does not mean they are gone." The Starweaver descended slowly into orbit around Earth. From this height, the planet seemed almost too calm. Cities stood intact, no signs of disaster, no large-scale evacuations. Yet the absence of movement, of communication, was disturbing. It was as if the humans had simply vanished from the eyes of the universe, yet remained hidden. Valen decided to send a reconnaissance probe down to Earth. The probe transmitted images of sprawling cities, peaceful parks, and people moving about in normal life. Humans were everywhere, but strangely, there were no signs of the usual interstellar traffic. No starships leaving or arriving, no communication arrays buzzing with signals, no advanced technology visible in the skies. "They're silent by choice," muttered Lyra, the linguist. "They've cut themselves off, but they haven't left," Valen nodded. "And that makes them more dangerous than any enemy we have faced." As the Starweaver orbited silently, the team observed more unusual patterns. Certain areas of the planet seemed almost too quiet. Vast swaths of land were empty, untouched, and yet, under closer inspection, faint signs of energy fields flickered like invisible threads. The humans had built layers of technology hidden beneath the surface, beyond the reach of any alien sensors. "They're preparing," Thalric whispered. "But for what? Why hide?" Valen's mind raced. Humans were known for their unpredictability, but this level of secrecy suggested something beyond normal preparation. Something that even the most intelligent species of the galaxy could not anticipate. Days passed. The Starweaver's sensors picked up faint transmissions, but they were encrypted in a pattern that no alien system had ever seen. It was clever, adaptive, almost playful. The humans were not only hiding, they were testing the Council's abilities to detect them. "This is a challenge," said Valen, staring at the flickering signals. "They want us to notice, they want us to understand, but on their terms." The team debated how to respond. Sending ships into the human colonies without permission could be seen as an act of aggression. Yet, leaving without answers could risk the entire galaxy. The humans had shown in the past that they were capable of extraordinary feats, sometimes helping to resolve crises, sometimes disrupting delicate balances with a single decision. Then, an unexpected event occurred. A small human vessel emerged from the atmosphere, not aggressive, but deliberate. Its design was unlike any human ship the aliens had studied before. Sleek, almost organic, moving with a fluidity that defied conventional engineering. A voice, clear and confident, came over the Starweaver's communications system. It was human, speaking in the Galactic Standard tongue. "Counselor Valen, you are observing from a distance. You have questions. We will answer them, if you are willing to learn." The delegation exchanged nervous glances. The human voice carried no threat, only authority, but authority of a kind that reminded them why humans were feared, respected, and sometimes misunderstood. What do they want?" Thalric asked, his voice trembling slightly. "They want to be understood," Valen replied. "And perhaps in their own way they want to remind us why we should never underestimate them." The human ship hovered, scanning the Starweaver without aggression. Images of human settlements appeared on the communication screens. Cities surrounded by protective energy domes, people moving in harmony with advanced robotic assistants, and vast laboratories where scientists worked on technologies beyond the current understanding of the Galactic Council. "This is remarkable," Lyra said softly. "They have not vanished. They have grown beyond us in ways we cannot fully comprehend." Valen nodded. "And they have done it quietly. They turned their backs on the galaxy, not because they are abandoning it, but because they needed to prepare. They have seen something, a threat we cannot yet imagine." The Council's fears, which had once seemed justified, now transformed into awe. The humans were no longer just members of the Alliance. They were something more, a force that combined intelligence, strategy, and patience on a level no other species had achieved. The Starweaver's crew realized that understanding humans would not be simple. Observation alone was not enough. Humans had chosen their own path, one that required patience, humility, and respect to follow. As the human ship slowly departed, Valen turned to her team. "We have entered a new chapter," she said. "The humans have disappeared from our view, but they are more present than ever. And whatever comes next, we must be ready to learn from them, or be left behind." The Starweaver remained in orbit, watching Earth and the other human colonies. Beneath the serene surface, hidden technologies and unknown experiments pulsed quietly. The humans had vanished from sight, but their influence was growing, invisible yet undeniable. And in the vast emptiness of space, the Galactic Council began to understand a simple truth. When humans turned their backs, the galaxy was not safe, not because they were gone, but because what they were preparing for was beyond imagination. The silence of the humans was no longer a threat, It was a challenge. The silence of the humans had unsettled the Galactic Council for weeks. Every alien delegation debated what to do next. To many, the human disappearance was terrifying. Others were curious. But no one truly understood the humans' motives. Counselor Valen, returning to the chamber after her journey to Earth, carried news that stunned the assembly. "They are alive," she said, "and they are waiting." Whispers filled the chamber. "Waiting for what?" asked a Solvian delegate whose translucent fins shimmered nervously. "For us to learn," Valen answered. "Humans have prepared tests, challenges. They want the galaxy to prove itself worthy before they reveal why they disappeared." The chamber erupted. Delegates shouted, argued, and some even laughed. "Tests," a Zorvax general roared. "Why should the galaxy prove itself to humans? They are one species among many." Valen held up her hand and the room fell silent. "They are not asking for obedience. They are asking for understanding. And those who fail the test may never learn what they know. Those who succeed may gain allies in ways they cannot imagine." No one could ignore her words. Plans were quickly made. Small fleets from each major species were assembled. Ships were fitted with observation devices, tools, and artificial intelligence assistants. Delegates hoped to enter the humans' territory, but everyone understood one rule clearly: aggression would not be tolerated. The first challenge came without warning. A signal appeared in the neutral space between the Sol system and the nearest wormhole. It was a message in the galactic standard language, simple, direct, yet full of meaning. "Welcome," it said. "If you wish to meet us, you must first prove your understanding. Approach with patience, cooperation, and clarity of mind. Those who fail will return home untested." Counselor Valen and her team stared at the message. "This is not about combat," Lyra the linguist observed. "They are testing intelligence, strategy, and character." The first test was simple in concept, but nearly impossible in execution. Each delegation was presented with a series of abstract puzzles. Floating in space, giant holographic structures rotated and shifted, filled with symbols that no species had seen before. The humans had designed them so that no single intelligence could solve them alone. Cooperation, creativity, and observation were essential. Valen worked closely with her team. The Xylarians had excellent logic skills. Thalric's historical knowledge gave insight into patterns, and Lyra's understanding of human communication allowed them to anticipate the reasoning humans expected. Slowly, methodically, they solved each puzzle, proving that patience and collaboration could overcome challenges that brute strength could not. Meanwhile, other delegations struggled. The Zorvax fleet, relying on aggression and raw force, tried to dismantle the holographic puzzles with energy blasts. Each attempt failed spectacularly, causing minor damage to their own ships. The Solvians, who relied on intuition, misread the patterns and ended up moving in circles. Only a few delegations, like Valen's team, began to succeed. The second trial was more personal. The humans created a simulated environment designed to test morality and empathy. Delegates were placed in a virtual space where decisions affected entire civilizations. One choice could save thousands at the cost of a valuable resource. Another could secure safety for one's own species while risking another's survival. Valen and her team approached carefully. They debated each decision, weighing consequences and considering the lives of others, not just their own species. Every choice was challenging. Every choice revealed character. Other species faltered. Some made selfish decisions to protect themselves. Others hesitated too long, paralyzed by fear or indecision. The humans observed, noting patterns of courage, wisdom, and selflessness. "You see," Valen explained to her team, "this is why they withdrew. They are preparing allies. They want to know who is ready to face the unknown with them, who can act wisely even under pressure." By the end of the second trial, the Galactic Council understood a critical truth. Humans were not testing for strength, skill, or technology. They were testing for values, for judgment, for the ability to act for the good of many rather than the few. The final trial was the most dangerous, though no physical harm would come to the participants. Humans created a simulated threat, a massive cosmic storm, the likes of which the galaxy had never seen. It moved unpredictably, threatening to destroy planets, colonies, and fleets. The delegates had to work together to find a solution. Valen's team immediately understood the lesson. "This is about unity," she said. "No species can succeed alone." They began coordinating with other delegations that had survived the earlier trials. Using maps, simulations, and predictive models, they developed strategies to protect the colonies, redirect the storm, and minimize damage. Every step required careful negotiation. Every decision required trust. Many delegations failed, either from pride, miscommunication, or haste. Ships collided in space, calculations failed, and arguments erupted. But the humans observed silently, impressed not with failures but with the attempts. Even mistakes taught lessons. Valen's team eventually completed the challenge successfully, using logic, empathy, and collaboration. The cosmic storm dissipated in the simulation, revealing the humans' final message. "Well done. You have begun to understand. You are ready to see us." But remember, observation is not participation. Learning is not imitation. True understanding comes from thought, courage, and humility. After the trials, the humans finally appeared. Ships emerged from hidden systems, moving with grace and precision that amazed every alien delegation. Their designs were unfamiliar, almost organic, reflecting advanced understanding of physics and energy manipulation. The humans did not attack, did not intimidate, they simply observed. Valen watched carefully as the humans communicated. Their message was clear. "We withdrew not to abandon the galaxy, but to prepare. What you have seen is only the beginning. We tested the galaxy not to punish, but to measure readiness. Those who failed have lessons to learn. Those who succeeded may join us in facing the coming challenges." The council fell silent. The humans had proven that intelligence, patience, and character were more powerful than weapons. They had taken a simple concept, the test, and turned it into a mirror, showing the galaxy its strengths and weaknesses. Valen realized something profound. Humans were not just fighters. They were strategists, thinkers, and leaders. They had foresight that no other species could match. And they had chosen a method of preparation that was subtle, nonviolent, and yet undeniably powerful. As the humans withdrew again, returning to hidden systems, the Galactic Council understood that the trials were far more than challenges. They were lessons. Lessons in patience, collaboration, and understanding. And the humans had done it without showing anger, without coercion, without aggression. Valen turned to her team. "We have learned much," she said, "but we have only scratched the surface. The humans are preparing for something we cannot yet see. And when that day comes, we must be ready to stand beside them, or be left behind." The council held an emergency session to discuss the outcome. Delegates who had failed the trials admitted mistakes, acknowledging pride, selfishness, and fear as weaknesses. Those who had succeeded realized they had been humbled, learning lessons they could never have imagined. The humans' message was clear. The galaxy must evolve. It must cooperate. It must act with intelligence and courage, not just strength. And the humans, the most unpredictable species of all, would lead the way, not through force, but through example. In the following weeks, reports from the trial spread across the galaxy. Stories of alien fleets failing against abstract puzzles, of simulated storms and moral dilemmas circulated widely. Every species began to reconsider its approach to the universe. Alliances shifted. Strategies changed. Even rivalries softened, as delegates realized that strength alone would not carry them forward. And somewhere in the hidden systems, humans continued their quiet work. Their colonies thrived. Their experiments advanced. Their technologies grew ever more sophisticated. They watched the galaxy, observing reactions, noting lessons learned but never interfering directly. Their absence was deliberate. Their silence was purposeful. Valen often reflected on the human's nature. They were fearless, not because they sought battle, but because they sought knowledge and preparedness. They were patient, not because they waited passively, but because they understood the value of timing. And above all, they were unpredictable, not from recklessness, but from the depth of their intelligence and creativity. The trials had shown one undeniable truth: humans had not disappeared, they had transcended. And the galaxy, for all its power and complexity, had only begun to understand what that truly meant. The Council knew that the next chapter would not be simple. The humans' tests were finished, but the lessons had only begun. And the galaxy would never look at humans the same way again. The Galactic Council had spent weeks analyzing the results of the humans' tests. Every species had learned something important, but the questions remained. Why had the humans withdrawn, and what were they preparing for? Counselor Valen stood in her quarters aboard the Starweaver, staring at the holographic map of the galaxy. Her team had returned from the trials, each member deeply changed by the experience. The humans' challenge had not been about war or power, it had been about judgment, collaboration, and foresight. And now the next step was about to unfold. A signal arrived unexpectedly, stronger than before. This time it was not abstract or cryptic, it was a direct invitation. The humans were ready to reveal themselves. "Prepare the council," Valen said. "This is the moment we have been waiting for." The meeting took place in the neutral zone near Sol, a vast area of space used for diplomacy. The humans' fleet appeared slowly, emerging from hidden sectors that no alien sensors had detected. Ships of all sizes, some shaped like familiar starcraft and others resembling flowing, organic forms, moved in perfect formation. Energy glowed along their surfaces, reflecting a mastery of technology that the galaxy had never seen. Every delegate held their breath. The humans did not fire weapons. They did not make threats. Instead, they projected a message directly into the council chamber, a voice calm, firm, and unmistakably human. "Delegates of the Galactic Council," the voice began. "We have observed, we have waited, we have challenged your patience, your wisdom, and your courage. And now we speak to you openly. The galaxy faces a danger unlike any before. You have been tested because we needed to know who is ready to face it by our side." A stunned silence followed. No species spoke immediately. The gravity of the humans' words weighed on every mind. "What kind of danger?" asked the Tremalian delegate, her many eyes blinking rapidly. The human voice continued. "A force is coming, a cosmic phenomenon that will challenge every system in this galaxy. It will not discriminate. Only those who act with foresight, intelligence, and unity can survive. We have prepared for it, but preparation alone is not enough. Allies must be capable, reliable, and willing to learn. That is why we tested you." Valen felt a shiver of awe. The humans' patience, their planning, and their ingenuity had all been part of a larger design. Their disappearance was not fear, nor was it abandonment. It had been preparation, strategy, and observation. The humans then revealed themselves physically to the council. Representatives emerged from the fleet, stepping onto a large platform in the neutral zone. They were similar in form to the humans Valen had studied, but there was something different. A quiet confidence in their movements, an aura of calm authority. Their eyes reflected intelligence, creativity, and understanding beyond what most alien species could comprehend. "We have withdrawn," the lead human said, "to ensure that when the time comes, we and the galaxy are ready. We have prepared technologies, strategies, and defenses capable of facing the unknown, but no species can succeed alone. That is why you were tested. You have shown what you value, what you fear, and what you can achieve when united." Delegates from various species looked at one another. Many had been humbled during the trials, recognizing flaws in their pride, their assumptions, and their strategies. The humans had not humiliated them, they had taught them. This is an opportunity, Valen realized aloud. The humans are offering guidance, protection, and partnership, but they are also asking for cooperation. The humans then presented a vision of what they had been preparing. Massive holographic projections filled the space around the council chamber, showing fleets, colonies, and new technologies. Energy shields surrounded planets, defensive systems stretched across entire sectors, and networks of communication linked every human colony. Advanced propulsion systems allowed ships to move with astonishing speed and precision, and strategies for defending entire regions were mapped in real time. "Look closely," the human voice said. "Every decision, every structure, every system has been designed not only for protection but for learning. Those who have succeeded in our trials will now understand how to act in coordination with us. Those who have not yet succeeded must continue to learn before it is too late." Valen studied the holographic display. The humans had created a network of defense and observation that made even the most powerful alien fleets appear slow and uncoordinated. It was a combination of strategy, ingenuity, and foresight. They had not relied on sheer power, they had relied on understanding, prediction, and preparation. The lead human continued, "We do not seek dominance, we do not seek control. Our goal is survival for ourselves, for our allies, and for the galaxy as a whole. The coming threat will challenge every species. Only those capable of foresight, intelligence, and unity will survive. That is why we tested you. That is why we prepared quietly. That is why we now speak." Counselor Valen took a deep breath. The human's words were not merely a warning, they were an offer of partnership, of guidance, and of leadership. The galaxy had feared the human's disappearance, but in truth, it had been a blessing. "The humans have not vanished," she said to the council. "They have transcended the ordinary. They are prepared, and they are asking us to prepare as well. This is a moment of truth for every species." Over the next several cycles, the Galactic Council began to work closely with the humans. Delegates who had succeeded in the trials were invited to learn directly from human strategists, scientists, and leaders. Fleets were trained in coordination with human ships, learning not just how to fight, but how to think, plan, and adapt. Colonies began to implement technologies shared by humans, improving communication, defense, and infrastructure across the galaxy. Many species were amazed. They had expected humans to be aggressive, selfish, or unpredictable. Instead, they found patience, intelligence, and wisdom. The humans' unpredictability was not chaos, it was adaptability. Their strength was not in weapons alone, it was in understanding, preparation, and collaboration. Valen reflected on the lessons she had learned. Humans had challenged the galaxy not to humiliate it, but to elevate it. They had withdrawn not to hide, but to teach the value of foresight, strategy, and unity. They had proven that intelligence, patience, and courage were far more powerful than brute force. Then, a final revelation came. The humans shared the first hints of the threat that had motivated their withdrawal. A massive, interstellar storm of energy, moving from beyond known space, was approaching the galaxy. It was unpredictable, destructive, and potentially capable of destroying entire star systems. The humans had studied it for decades, developing technologies capable of stabilizing its path, protecting colonies, and dispersing its energy safely. But they could not do it alone. Only a united galaxy, capable of strategy, collaboration, and intelligence, could survive. Valen realized the depth of what humans had done. Their disappearance, their trials, and their preparation had all been steps toward ensuring the survival of the galaxy. They had not abandoned the council, they had prepared it. They had not acted selfishly, they had tested for courage and wisdom. They had not been reckless, they had mastered patience, strategy, and foresight. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session to discuss the humans' message. Delegates spoke with awe, humility, and determination. Rivalries that had lasted centuries were set aside. Old enemies began to plan together. The humans had shown that survival required collaboration, and the galaxy finally understood the value of unity. Valen stood before the council. "We have been humbled," she said. "We have been tested, and we have been taught. Humans have shown us what it means to act with intelligence, courage, and foresight. They have prepared, and now it is our turn. Together we can face what comes next, or be left behind." The council agreed. Plans were made, fleets were trained, and colonies were fortified. Species that had once doubted humans now recognized their wisdom, their courage, and their vision. And throughout it all, the humans remained calm, observing, guiding, and teaching without domination or aggression. In the months that followed, humans continued to work quietly, preparing for the approaching storm. Their colonies thrived, their technologies advanced, and their influence spread, not through fear, but through knowledge and example. Delegates from other species visited human systems, learning the art of strategy, observation, and cooperation. Every visit revealed new insights, new technologies, and new lessons in leadership and foresight. Valen often walked through the human training centers, observing how they worked. Humans were calm, focused, and deliberate. They solved problems that had baffled generations of alien scientists. They acted with patience, understanding, and vision. And above all, they remained unpredictable, not from recklessness, but from creativity and intelligence. She realized a simple truth. Humans had not turned their backs on the galaxy. They had turned their backs to watch, to prepare, and to teach. And in doing so, they had become the galaxy's greatest hope. As the interstellar storm drew closer, fleets of multiple species moved in coordination with humans. The galaxy, once divided by fear, pride, and rivalry, now acted as a united force. The humans led not with weapons, but with strategy, intelligence, and courage. And when the storm finally arrived, it was met not with panic, but with preparation. Every fleet, every colony, and every system acted in harmony, guided by the humans' foresight. The storm's energy was dispersed, lives were saved, and the galaxy survived. The humans had done more than protect the council. They had taught the galaxy to survive, adapt, and grow. Counselor Valen watched the aftermath, her heart full of awe and respect. The humans had turned their backs, yes, but in doing so they had shown the galaxy what it truly meant to be powerful: intelligence, courage, foresight, and the will to unite. And as the stars settled into calm once more, one truth became clear to every species: humans were not just survivors. They were leaders, teachers, and guardians of the galaxy. The trials were over. The humans had revealed their purpose. And the galaxy, forever changed, had learned the ultimate lesson. When humans turned their backs, they were not gone. They were preparing the universe to face the unimaginable. When humans turned their backs, the Galactic Council feared the worst.